and welcome to the Dolphin Hunger Games Arena Complex for today's Hunger Games pregame show. I'm David Dolphin, here with fellow tribute Kevin Dolphin.
The Hunger Games will be taking place on May 26th at 1 p.m. We will have 13 tributes with us today, and let's meet them now.
But before we do that, Kevin, let's introduce our game maker, Kyle Van Derzen. In the first Hunger Games, he took 6 out of 6 tributes, which was a very disappointing performance. He looks to improve that performance by becoming a game maker and looks to have a very fun and exciting games. Would you like to introduce our first tribute, Kevin?
I would love to, David. Our first tribute is Crystal Van Derzen. She's actually been on high honor roll since 6th grade. Isn't that impressive, Dave?
It's amazing.
Yes, she's also participates in high school soccer, and her brother is the game maker of this year's Hunger Games. I think that's gonna help her out a little bit.
I'm not sure. I think our next tribute might help her out a little bit. The next tribute is Megan Ader, who is Crystal's best friend. She will probably look to team with Crystal during this one, as they're both in their first Hunger Games and both rather unskilled in the woods. Our next tribute?
I think our third tribute is going to be one of the toughest ones out there. His name is Jessie Rogers. He's the one to watch out for, don't you think?
I would think so.
He's 6'3", tallest competitor we have in this game.
Second tallest, Kevin.
Second
tallest. Let you know. Second tallest competitor.
Okay, alright. You got anything to say about our next tribute team?
Our next tribute is Sarah Bedlett. She is from Hope College and is a national qualifier in the 400 hurdles. She will be a fast tribute and probably pretty hard to catch or run away from, so she'll be a difficult opponent.
Our next tribute is Sherry McCormick, and she actually came here with Sarah Venlett, one of our newer tributes, and something interesting about her is she's actually a national qualifier in the mile. It's true. How impressive is that, dude?
It's very impressive. Good. Our next tribute is Caleb Wilterding. He participated in our first Hunger Games and took 5th out of 6 tributes, beating only our game maker, Kyle Van Derzen. He looks to improve upon that performance in this Games. Our next tribute is John Lightsky, another tribute we do not know much about because he's a newcomer. But if he's anything like his older brother, he will be very difficult to deal with in the arena, and he could prove some serious competition.
That is true. Next tribute is a favorite of mine, TJ Lutz. He's age 21, and this is his second Games. Last Games, he took 4th place.
The next tribute is a friend of TJ's and a friend of mine, John Wieskamp. He is the tallest tribute in the field, standing at 6'7". His height and his intensity could prove difficult for the other tributes to match.
Our final tribute in this spring Hunger Games is the tribute with probably the biggest target over his head between me and David. He's our brother. His name is Justin Dolphin, game maker of the last Hunger Games. And something interesting about him is what Dave's going to tell us.
He is looking to have a good time in this Games, but his strategy is to kind of just go out and hide. And if he finds a good hiding spot, he could be very difficult to find and could last until the final group of tributes and maybe pull out a victory.
I doubt it, but yes.
Now that we have successfully introduced the tributes for the Spring Hunger Games, let's talk about the arena a little bit.
Let's do that. Let's talk about the cornucopia, Dave.
The cornucopia is located on the south side of the arena, right next to the woods. Tributes will kind of be running towards the woods, and it'll be interesting to see what kind of a strategy they play out of that area.
I agree. Something different about this cornucopia is it's in an open area, opposed to the last Hunger Games in the woods. How do you think that'll prove as an advantage to tributes?
I think the cornucopia being in an open area will allow the tributes with more speed to have more of an advantage in getting to the cornucopia.
That's very true.
Everybody knows that the supplies you get determine how your games go. Now let's talk a little about what is next to the cornucopia.
Well, let's see. We have the woods on one side and the lake on the other.
That is true. This lake is our first lake in the Hunger Games and can prove very helpful to some tributes. It could be a source of fresh water and a source of fish, or an obstacle that other tributes would have to go around for them to get to the tributes they would like to kill.
That's a very good point, Dave.
Thank you.
Running right through the middle of the arena, we have the river. What do you think that could...
I mean, it's going to be an interesting boundary because all tributes start on the south side of the river. It'll be interesting to see how many of them go to the north side of the river. It's probably the biggest strategy decision these tributes will have to make.
That's true. That's true. Let's talk about a couple of the dangers in the arena this time. Right now, we're in a stormy situation here. The arena is starting to flood a little bit. What do you think of that, Dave?
The woods near the cornucopia is all kind of in a swampy area, so it'll be interesting to see how the tributes decide to traverse that, and if they decide to traverse it all or just kind of give up.
That's very true. Another one of those big dangers is burning nettle.
It's true.
Look at that, Dave.
Burning nettle is a stinging plant. It's probably covering about a third of our arena at the moment,
Ooh.
and tributes are going to have to look to avoid it or to stay covered in the leg area at all times in order to prevent the pain that you're about to feel.
It's a very helpful tip. Keep that in mind, tributes.
It's just so that tributes have a little bit of a warning and they know what they're about to face.
That is true.
These games are going to be important, and it is important to be prepared.
Amen to that, brother.
At this time, we would like to welcome our game maker, Kyle Van Derzen, to the set. Welcome aboard, Kyle. How prepared are you as game maker and with your fellow assistants?
We are very prepared for the games. We have most of the supplies and everything should go smoothly on games day.
That's very good to hear. If you were a tribute in these games, what would be probably your most important strategy?
My strategy would either be to stay around the lake where there isn't so many poisonous plants, or to head across the river where less tributes will be crossing.
That is an interesting strategy, and some strategies that tributes will be having to consider during the games. Moving along here, Kyle, what would be your biggest fear heading into these games if you were a tribute?
My biggest fear would be the burning nettle and poison ivy because it covers roughly a third of the arena and you will probably have to go through it at some point. And that can cause some very serious problems.
You mean you don't like being stung by poisonous plants?
Not in my daily routine.
Oh, okay, interesting. Our next question, Kyle, regards the tributes. If you had to pick one tribute who would be your favorite entering these games, who would it be?
Well, that's an interesting question, David. I would probably choose Kevin Dolphin because he seems open to going to drastic measures to win these games, as he did in the first.
It is true, and he did win the first, so that is probably the smartest choice if you were going to choose a person, because he could perform the repeat championship. One last question here, Kyle. If there's one tribute who in your mind has been overlooked a little bit so far, but could give a very positive performance in these games, who would it be?
I think that it's Jessie Rogers because even though it is his first game, his height and strength could help him a lot in these games.
That is true. And people tend to underestimate him, so he could come up and surprise some people, and next thing you know, he's the victor. Who knows?
He also has a very girthy beard.
He does. That is very true. Before we sign off, let's go over a little bit of the information tributes will need before the Hunger Games. The Hunger Games, once again, will take place on Sunday, May 26th at 1 p.m. Tributes are expected to show up to the arena at least by noon and should be wearing a black sweatshirt and dark pants. If you, as a fan, wish to follow the games live, all of our tributes will be texting and updates to our blog site, realworldhungergames.blogspot.com. It'll be very interesting to follow the action, and we hope you decide to follow it with us. I'm David Dolphin here with Kyle Van Derzen. Thank you for watching the Hunger Games pregame show. Please meet us next week for the Real World Hunger Games. Have a nice day.